Far beyond the marble staircases and glittering ballrooms, there lies a part of history the world has almost forgotten. It is not written in the pages of grand chronicles or painted in glorious murals. Instead, it hides in the quiet corners of ancient palaces, in the cold air of stone passages, and in the faint flicker of torchlight. Beneath the crown jewels and the silken robes, royal life carried another side, a world of secrecy, decisions made in whispers, and rituals no outsider was allowed to witness. These were the hidden chambers of power, places where the beauty of gold and marble ended, and the silence of the earth began. The journey into these underground rooms was never a public event. There were no guards announcing arrivals, no trumpets to mark the moment. Those who walked these steps descended alone or with only a handful of trusted figures. The walls seemed to grow thicker with each turn, muting every sound from above. Light came from oil lamps, their flames swaying with every movement, casting long shadows across the uneven stones. The air was heavy, not with dust, but with an intangible weight, as though the walls themselves remembered what had taken place here. In one room, a massive oak table dominated the space. Its surface bore intricate carvings, patterns so detailed they seemed almost alive. But these designs were not for decoration alone. They were part of a language, a coded history only a few could read. On shelves along the walls stood objects of curious shapes, polished brass mechanisms, silver-bound chests, and heavy scrolls tied with faded ribbon. Some looked harmless, even beautiful, their surfaces gleaming in the dim light. But each had a purpose, and none were placed there without meaning. These items had passed through centuries of careful hands. They were not gifts, nor trophies, but instruments in the unspoken duties of the crown. Every royal court had its own set, and each was as unique as the ruler who commanded it. Here, in the stillness, decisions were made that could change the fate of entire kingdoms. The grand halls above might see celebrations and ceremonies, but the true balance of power often shifted down here, in the shadows. Stories whispered among servants told of noble women summoned to these rooms. Sometimes they returned to their chambers unchanged. Other times, they vanished from court life entirely, their names fading from records as though they had never existed. No one spoke openly about these disappearances. In royal circles, silence was the only protection. To ask questions was to invite suspicion, and suspicion was a dangerous thing. The stone walls carried more than sound, they carried memory. Centuries later, when restorers uncovered certain chambers, they found marks on the floor where heavy furniture once stood, and grooves in the walls as though something had been fixed there long ago. A faded tapestry still clung to one side of a chamber. Its imagery was strange, not of battles or feasts, but of a moonlit scene in which cloaked figures gathered around an altar-like table. The symbolism was unclear, yet deliberate. In the farthest corner, an iron-bound chest was discovered, locked tight. When it was finally opened, inside lay nothing but a single candle holder, yet its base was engraved with a spiral of unfamiliar symbols. Some believe it was part of a ritual, others that it was a sign for those who knew the code. No royal decree mentions these rooms. No historian can say for certain what took place within them. But the fragments we find, a hinge, a chain link, a scrap of parchment, tell a story in their own way. It is the story of a palace that was more than a home. It was a living organism, with bright, glittering chambers for all to see, and dark, silent places meant only for a chosen few. And though the stones have grown cold and the corridors are empty, the atmosphere remains. It is the echo of footsteps long gone, the faint scent of oil and dust, and the unshakable feeling that history is still watching from the shadows.